We are starting soon. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of Album Book Club. This week we are doing El Oso by Soul Coughing. That translates to the bear, if anyone is interested. This album came out in 1998. That's all I really got.
It's classified as pop on Apple Music, which is a little weird.
Apple Music is famously wrong all the time.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. It is a mix of a lot of things, though. Alt rock, post rock, electronic rock, apparently trip hop. This album was actually recorded after they were on tour with, I guess, an electronic music group, so there's a lot of those influences bled in. Cool. We can get started with top three if we want.
Sure. My top three were Circles, The Incumbent, and Houston.
Mine were Blame, I Miss the Girl, and So Far I Have Not Found the Science.
Mine were Circles, Monster Man, and Houston. Pretty close.
Yeah. My bottom song was Pensacola.
My bottom song was also Pensacola.
Readjusted the mic, sorry. You're not going to believe it. But my bottom song was also Pensacola.
I feel like this one actually has a definitive bottom song.
Yeah, I think... Go ahead.
Nah, we'll get into it later.
I was going to say, we'll get into it later, but I have a distinct issue throughout the entirety of this album that we'll get into once we go into the first track. And it's why that's the bottom song for me.
Perfect. Speaking of, let's go ahead and get into the first track, which is Rolling.
Yeah, let's roll right into it. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I also gave this one a 7.
I gave it a 7.5.
I'm feeling a little extra over there.
Connor Glaze.
Hey, I like this album, so...
I think this one had a really good beat. The bass guitar sounded really great. But when it comes to the actual instrumentation and the mix, I feel like those were focused a lot more. I really dig like the subtle background pieces that we get. If you're listening really closely, you can pick out some cool tones and some cool motifs that are back there. And then this is kind of the point that sticks with me for the entirety of the album. I don't like the vocalist very much. The lyrics are like just kind of okay, and when it comes to making a song that's titled Rollin', I think Limp Bizkit did it way better.
That's totally fair. I actually thought the same thing when he started in the Rolling, but I guess it makes sense to talk a little bit about some of the background of how this band even came to be. I think the singer was more doing slam poetry kind of things, and then kind of convinced the other three guys to start a band with him, and they all come from very different backgrounds, but it really kind of makes sense that they met in kind of this avant-garde kind of club and kind of decided to do this. I don't know, just very weird combo of sounds here. Not that I didn't like it. I pretty much had the same notes you had, other than it's got this kind of post-grunge kind of sound, which is cool. They were very focused on... I read a comment from the singer saying that he really liked what dance music was like in the UK and thought that like rock in the US was dead, and that's kind of why this album is what it is.
Carson, can you hit the light switch behind you?
Oh, now we're on.
Now we're live.
It's like the second week in a row. I forgot that. Yeah, this one, there were a lot of interesting sounds in this song, and that's going to kind of carry out throughout the rest of the album. The kick sounds like it's almost completely underwater, which is a good thing. Like, the only time that's ever been a good thing. The bass tone is completely disgusting, also a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good
I liked a lot of the sounds that were happening on this song, and I mean the lyrics were kind of just there, but I didn't really have a problem with the vocalist. I think it sounds like enough of other things that I know that it didn't bother me too much. It's definitely not the best vocals in the world, but
I have some notes about the mix later, but this was Chad Blake, which is Chad with a T. I put a little front on it there for you. But
Chad?
yeah. But so anyway, he's done a lot, very famous people, but all of his recordings tend to be very organic, with that very kind of, I don't even know how to put it, very focused low end. That's kind of what all of his recordings sound like. We talked about it earlier. He did some of the Black Keys stuff, famously did some of AM by the Arctic Monkeys, maybe the whole thing. All right, on to track 2, which is Misinformed.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
Oh, we're just reading each other's mind tonight. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
uh-oh. I gave this one an 8.5.
Listen, that screech tone in my left ear was not appreciated. I hated it, like, a lot. And then once things kind of filled in, it went away. But it kind of threw me off right at the start there. I think the guitars in this one sound really cool. And I like the bass a lot, too. Obviously, there's more of a mix-heavy bass sound coming through here, and I do think it sounds great. But the vocals, again, really bad for me. I think in this one he sounds completely drunk, and the chorus, I just didn't like it. It didn't really catch me at all. Thought it was kind of boring.
I did not have that problem. I thought this is kind of where I figured out what was happening, because I didn't look into it, and when Carl started telling us the backgrounds, everything started to make sense. Like, everything I had already figured out was like confirmed by that, because this is the first one where it almost sounds like an electronic song without any of the electronic sounds, which is really cool. And I did not have any problem with the chorus of this one. But yeah, the bass and drum tones were great pretty much this whole album, I think.
Yeah, just the only thing you guys didn't say is I noted there were a lot of like industrial sounds in on this one. I don't know how much of that is sampling and how much of it's recreating, but they did use a sampler in the studio to play a lot of different sounds. So I don't know which is which, but it reminded me a lot of I wasn't gonna say Nine Inch Nails, but there's a lot of other bands that are kind of in that. It's not quite industrial rock. This is way too artsy to be that, but kind of has that vibe on this track, which I thought was cool.
There's one song later where it's like all industrial instruments, and that one was, I don't remember what I thought about that one. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I also don't remember which one it is.
All right, speaking of getting there, we can go to Circles, which is track 3.
I gave this one a 7.5.
I gave this one an 8.
I gave it a 9.
We're still really close there, Carl.
We are.
This one feels a lot more fun than what we've heard so far. At least that's how I kind of viewed it. I think the chorus is a lot better structurally, and as well as how it sounds. As well as the vocalist just sounding better in this song. I think the mix may be a little bit different. Maybe I'm able to hear him a little bit more. But there's a bit of an inflection thing he likes to do where he stretches out these syllables, and I don't know why, it kind of just twinges my ear the wrong way, and I feel like it's a lot better here. And lyrically, it's a lot better here as well.
Yeah, I just wrote it sounds like the 90s. Just a very throwback thing. And I know a lot of the label mates with this band have a lot of music that sounds similar to this. And this being the single on the album makes it make sense that it sounds like a lot of other things at the time. It just sounds like they're having fun and jamming. And I put a note that I liked the out-of-tune guitar, but everyone might not.
It's really funny. My first note is I can't tell if I hate or really like this guitar in the intro. It was like a bunch of beeps and boops in this one. Always going to get extra points for me if they're cool. This one was just kind of a vibe. It felt more like a song, I feel like, than a lot of a lot of the rest of the album does. These first 3 tracks feel like songs, and the rest of it feels like whatever electronic music does, which is not a bad thing at all, because I listen to a decent amount of electronic music, but they don't sound like songs a lot of the time.
So, neat side note. I thought I'd heard this before, and in my research, I found that this was on one of the little, like the music video things that Cartoon Network played in between shows. I don't know. You guys were probably too young, even if you had Cartoon Network, to remember that. But they did quite a few of these little, like, almost music videos in between episodes, and it would just be the song playing, and they would put like Hanna-Barbera stuff up top of it. So the funny one I always remember is Gorilla for Sale, Magilla Gorilla for Sale. That's the one that I remember. I think this was the similar thing, but it had like the Flintstones walking or something. Very similar vibe.
It's really funny because the last note on here is I feel like I've definitely heard this song before, and now that you say that, it's probably where it was.
Cool. That takes us to track 4. Sorry, my notes are a mess. Track 4, which is Blame.
I gave it a 6.5.
I gave this one a 9.
I gave this one an 8, and I skipped it just now while we were looking at notes.
There is a big issue for me here. I think you guys both know what it is. I don't know what happened with the bugs crawling in my headphones at the start of the song. Hated it. And especially with it being a stereo, and I've been quite nauseous this week. So having the like sound bounce back and forth, it just led to a really like sour taste in my mouth for the front end of this song. But I do really love how in your face that bass is. The drums are really cool, and the vocals, they end up just being like okay here. I think the same thing about the chorus. I think the chorus is just okay, and like the ending of this song is really where it lost me. I think the ending is really meh.
Yeah, I was really disappointed when it had that like big break and went to like stripped everything back, kind of rose back up. I was expecting something, but it went back to the same chorus that we've heard.
Yeah, it was kind of like falling flat on its face right at the end there.
I was disappointed. I wanted a little bit more there, and that's why I lost the extra point there. But you got a scary intro. I love it. The drums are great. This one, I gave a pass lyrically to it because this is more leaning on the whatever electronic music is and less, or it sounds less like a song. I think it's because I've made things like that and can kind of see all of the pieces when I'm hearing songs like that. As if it uses loops, I can probably visualize it, and that's might be what's happening. But this one felt like it was more in that category. So I'm like, okay, lyrically, it doesn't have to be changing it up every second or whatever.
I kind of agree with that. I think this one was just kind of the way it built, I really liked. It was very dark and hypnotic. I really liked that they double-tracked the vocals, because I kind of agree that his vocals are a little weak on a lot of the album, and that's on purpose. But I think here it really helped him kind of punch through, and you could really hear him. And I really enjoyed the samples or piano tones, whatever it was they were using. Just really worked on this track for some reason. All right. The next track actually really freaked me out because I was wondering why St. Louis was listening. And then I realized I had forgotten the E. The track is actually St. Louise is listening.
I also forgot the E.
I also forgot the E. 6.5 out of 10.
I gave this one a 7.
I gave this one a 7.
All right. I kind of lost the plot in the middle of this song. I thought it was okay. It didn't hold my attention too well. I think my main gripe with it... Hold on, this is falling. I think my main kind of gripe with it really just falls on how much I don't like this vocalist, which sucks because I feel like a lot of the background stuff is really cool. I feel like anytime we hear the drums really clearly and they're just able to like pop off, I think the rhythm section actually reminded me a little bit of math rock with how intricate it could get. Just there's really cool stuff going on in the background. There's just this overarching like vocal mehness to the album that just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I think it's probably much just more in my wheelhouse overall. But I really liked that the mix was really clear on this one. Everything just seemed to fit in the right spot, and I think that's what let the rhythm section shine like they did, because
Oh, yeah.
I really loved the drum tones on this track. Just how electronic inspired they were, but hearing that they were real drums was really cool.
Yeah, it gave it a really good groove. I'll say that. Like it made you kind of want to move to it whenever you heard that rhythm section just pop off like that.
Yeah, for me, this one sounded too much like a song to have lyrically the issues it did, where it just repeats like an electronic song would. Which I get that that's the blending of styles, but it's done better in a lot of places. This song is really great for like having it on in the background or if you're driving somewhere. But like Carson, I kind of lost the plot about halfway through.
Yeah, that happens to me a couple other times on the album where I'm trying to really listen in, but something happens that it just loses my full attention, and it feels like anytime that happens on this album, you're like a song ahead.
So I think that the whole like not second half, but the last couple songs did that.
I had a hard bit in like the middle, like later half of the album, but kind of in the middle of it. So like 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, I was gonna say that at some point. This was definitely one that is not. I won't say you're supposed to actively listen to, but it's definitely a you put it on and vibe with it album, and that tends to just not do well in our format, where we're hyper analyzing everything. So I'm actually surprised at how well or how good all the scores have been so far. Just because typically, if something is just kind of designed to be put on and relaxed to, if we're over or hyper thinking it, kind of overthinking everything, it tends to, I don't know, make it suck a little more. We've seen that in the past. This was also a single on the album. This was the second single.
Huh.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird
That
too.
was weird.
Oh,
It's not the one I would have picked.
Yeah, they picked. So they did Circles first, and then St. Louis is Listening, and then Rolling. Those were the 3 singles.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Having the 3 singles this early in the album is wild.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole album was kind of weird, and I'm pretty sure this was their last album too. No, there's one after this. Okay, never mind.
Is it the live one?
Is the next one live?
Because this is the last one on Apple
Yeah,
Music.
this is the
Yep.
last one. So there's a live one after this.
Mhm.
There was a lot of tension building in the band, and I know I looked a brief history up of Soul Coughing, just trying to figure out again how they ended up with the sound they have, because it's so interesting. It's so different. I'm saying a lot tonight. Mental note, but
you good, Carl?
yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that anymore. Oh, there was just a lot of tensions in the band, and I think we hear that at certain points in the album. We hear someone's creative input fighting someone else's, and it's such an interesting picture that it kind of, I don't know, it's just weird. It's weird how different it is track to track. That's all I had. I thought I was going to say something cool, but I said instead. All right. Speaking of track 6 is Maybe I'll Come Down.
Give it a 6 out of 10.
I gave this one a 7.
Give it a 6.5.
That opening's dumb. It's dumb. Still not a big fan of the vocalist. I absolutely loathe how he stretches the syllables in this song in particular. He does it really bad. It's like almost every other lyric, every other bar, he's stretching something out over the course of, like, he's stretching a word that's supposed to be 4 syllables over like 8 beats or like 12 beats. It's not nearly to that extent. I'm exaggerating, but it's weird. He just drags everything out. The bass being that low key in this song really like threw me for a loop. I was like, we've been listening to a really good bass mix the entire time, and now it's weirdly absent.
See, I'll actually fight you on that one. I thought the whole reason this got 7 points for me is because the upright bass sounded immaculate on this track.
I couldn't hear it all too well. It's weird.
That's weird.
And also the chorus is very dumb.
Wish I could break the tie, but I have no notes about the bass. This song slows down really weird. And I say that because a future song, the next one, is going to do it infinitely better. Overall, I don't hate the sound of this song. I just like the rest of what we've heard on this album better. but I do like the backwards piano at the end. That was like the one big takeaway.
How do you feel with the chorus?
It did not get a note, so very indifferent. This song was not my favorite.
Yeah.
I liked the sound for everything else that we've heard up until this point. And it's not a hatred of slow songs like it usually is. We'll find out next one.
I think it was purely just the coolness of them using an upright. I would have never thought to do that on this kind of album. And there's just a certain woody thump that it brings. It just ended up being so cool by the time it was affected and everything. Because even the acoustic instruments on this album have a ton of effects running on them. That's something that producer Chad Blake's very famous for, is like, I don't know if it was this album, but I read a quote that was about him using $1,000 worth of microphones through a $10 pedal he bought at a yard sale to get the sound. That's very common for this kind of thing. But I don't know. Very creative, very cool use of upright here. That's all I got. All right. 2-track 7, which actually is named after a town, Houston.
Gave it a 7 out of 10.
I also give this one a 7.
Give it an 8.75.
Okay. Why are they doing screeches in the intro again? Hate it.
I love it.
Get it out of here.
Yeah, I actually thought
But-
it was the best part.
After it leaves, the entire rest of the song was really nice. It has a really good groove to it. The drones in the back kind of stood out to me in a weird way. I thought they sounded they sounded weirdly good. They fit really well into the track, and they kind of bring this support that you don't normally see. But yeah, it just has a really good groove the whole time and kind of pushes you through the track. I think it does it really well.
Nice. I just like that. The only note I have is that it has this super ominous intro that makes me think I'm getting into a boss fight, and the song doesn't really live up to it. But the intro was so cool that it still got a decent score.
I love these intros they keep doing. Everybody's talked about. They're great. This one had a great bass tone and used a bunch of weird sounds. I'm also guessing it might not be, but the giant cluster of samples towards the end also sounded really cool. Their use of samples is good enough that I can't tell if they're samples or not pretty much throughout, so props for that.
I know it's not computer-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In this, this would have been kind of the beginning of computer recording, but it was like a keyboard-based sampler. So a lot of the samples they were literally like pulling off of other records they had and other stuff, and then recording them into the keyboard and then playing them back. So you're getting kind of the analog resampling magic.
I love it.
Yeah.
Keep it coming. This one also it got really repetitive vocally at the end, but I didn't take away from it because I was so into this song while it was happening that I was like, yeah, he's saying that line over and over again, but it kind of makes sense here. Oh, and the last note was just, this is how you do a slower song. The argument to
It is
the
much
last
better than
song.
the other
Yeah.
one.
All right, on to track 8. This was actually featured in an episode of House, the TV show. $300.
Gave it a 6.
I also gave it a 6.
I give it an 8.
Listen, I like the rhythm a whole lot here, but it is not nearly interesting enough to make up for the lack of interest elsewhere. I think any time that it's like super crazy in the drums, the song just kind of sounds okay. It's not too bad, but it's just kind of here for me.
So the chorus on this one is a joke from Chris Rock, resampled, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Is that what was going on?
Yeah, that's what that was. The guitar loop itself is kind of catchy, which it definitely is looped, because this is another one where you can like they on purpose cut some of the loops to where you can hear that they're loops. I think that's super clever, because some of these parts are played and some of them are loops, and a lot of times the loops will just cut just a second too early, or it just has that very analog sound. But overall, I just thought this song was kind of repetitive.
It was repetitive, but my argument from earlier were it's very clearly leaning towards the electronic genre, so vocally it kind of gets a pass. This one fell farther that way than some of the other ones did. I didn't really have too much written here. They brought the energy back up. which is about the time to do it after.
I will
one-
say at the end of this one and like into the next one, this is where I lost the plot, just a little bit.
I won't say I lost the plot, but I found it very hard to keep taking notes because you just
Yeah.
kind of
That's what I'm talking about.
you get immersed into this album, and it kind of just like pulls you in, and you just kind of live in it.
Never mind. That is not what I was talking about. I did the exact opposite thing to me. It pushed me out of it. I was like, well, I guess I'm listening to this.
There's also a cool transition. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but this song from the last one kind of transitioned perfectly. It could have been not on purpose, but it sounds like it was. So.
All right. Track 9 is
Fully retractable.
fully retractable. Yeah, I can't read my own writing. Yeah, thanks, Carson.
6 out of 10.
I give this one a 7.
I also give this one a 7, and I will get this out of the way. It's a thumbs up plus.
Mine is essentially that too. This one came and went without a thought. I was like, I listened to that track. Where'd that go? I didn't even have it written down in my notes the first time. But it's so hard to attach onto anything in this track. Like, I didn't really find much interesting about it. It kind of just comes and goes. I mean, it's a decent thing to just kind of vibe out to, but I just couldn't give it any higher than a 6.
The only note I have is that I really liked the fuzz tone. Whatever they're doing to destroy the guitar on this track was cool. I have no idea what it is. It could be a bunch of things, but it just worked really well. That was it.
I think this one was a little out there, you know? I don't know why I had such a hard time following it. I think it being paired with the last track where I was also kind of losing focus really didn't help it. This isn't one of the ones... I think this is one of the ones that runs pretty short, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's...
I think so.
That also does not help here. Because, like, that 2 minutes can just go by really quick.
Let me get a... Oh, I can't fact check. I forgot.
I can fact check.
Sorry, I closed the live. I have to
Does
keep that
Apple
open.
Music tell you how long the songs are?
Yeah.
Like before you click on them?
This one is 3 minutes 26 seconds.
Not before
Okay.
you click on them.
So it's on par. So far, Circles has been the shortest track.
That's crazy.
It's just a weird... It has to do with the way everything lays, because a lot of these songs have... They're not even extended intros. They're like builds into the song that kind of, again, like pull you into the whatever universe they live in. It's such an interesting thing, because they create these soundscapes that... That's the only way I can describe it, is they're all kind of like soundscapes. They're little like snapshots, and it kind of... I think one of the genius parts is they take a second to kind of pull you in sometimes when they're different or weird or whatever.
Mm.
But if you're like me and you aren't into soundscapes, you're going to get pushed out of this album.
Right. Track 10. That is Monster Man.
6.5 out of 10.
I give this one an 8.
9 out of 10.
Listen, that beat's cool. Just didn't catch my interest at all. I think it has a lot of cool noises, but a lot of them just sound too random for me. It turns the song from something that could be really cool, at least in my ears, to like just all right. I didn't really like how random the noises felt.
I had the exact opposite thought. It's happened a lot on this show where a song is so dense but blends it good enough that you can't really tell how dense it is until you start doing what we're doing. And this one did it great. Love the energy as soon as it started. The bass tone's great. Yeah, usually if we get a really dense song, well, not usually, because usually we'll point it out as a positive, but a lot of songs will be really dense, but then it's just like muddying up the back end, and this doesn't do that.
That's what I was going to say, is this is just another one that just proves this whole album is mixed so well for what it is. Because there's just so much going on that everything is... There's so many puzzle pieces in this one that literally should not fit together at all. You know, the note I wrote is that there's just such a crazy juxtaposition between the kind of upbeat drum part and these like slow, almost ballad vocals going on. But it works. It shouldn't, but it does. And I don't know how much of that is just luck or genius or good mixing. But it's such an interesting combination of things. You know, it's almost like chili orange chocolate or something. It's like, that shouldn't be good together.
That wouldn't be good together.
Well, you wouldn't know. It would kill you.
Chili orange. I'm assuming you cook the orange.
I guess that's fair. Maybe it wouldn't kill you. Maybe it's like orange peel.
Can we do that? Can we do that this weekend?
Hold on. As
Carson-
long as the oranges are cooked, I'm cool.
Carson, you show up later, so you're not there for the process of it, and don't die before we even get it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, chili.
As long as you cook it, I'm fine.
it has to be like dark chocolate. It has to be like very
I
rich.
fucking love dark chocolate.
I've had that exact thing before. It might have been chili lime chocolate, not chili orange chocolate. I might be missing.
No, chili orange chocolate actually kind of sounds on brand. I was thinking like Skyline chili. So, oops, doxed us. But you're talking about like spicy chocolate with orange. Yeah, it's typically like orange peel or orange zest.
Yeah, or
that
it's
they
probably
use.
like orange zest with like chili powder. It's one of those things you wouldn't like. You look at the wrapper and you're like, oh, that's probably not very good, but it works.
No, the orange zest chocolate actually kind of hits. That's because I can't have oranges.
Or like honey mustard and onion pretzels.
Those hit all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had that.
Have you ever had honey mustard pretzels?
I've had honey mustard pretzels.
Well, some of them are honey mustard and onion.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that combination.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it's good.
It's just like sour cream and onion.
Yeah, that's not something you would ever normally put together, I guess.
Well, it's talking about.
Or like it's like French onion dip.
I was going to say they're talking about spring
Yeah.
onions, not regular onions.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. We've gone on a very good tangent. All right.
Oh yeah, food.
All right.
Food.
Onto another track that's named after somewhere. This one's incredibly worse, but the somewhere, not just the track. This is track 11, Pensacola.
5.
I also gave it a 5.
I also gave it a 5. I was wrong earlier when I said it was a 6.
Dude, the vocals just are not it on this album. Oh my god. This song, this is the one that's all vocals, right? I'm pretty sure.
There's some like bass stuff going on, and then there's some random drum hits.
It's nothing but the vocals, and that's my least liked part of this album. And it just doesn't do it well.
Yeah, I think we already said everything.
It's really all it.
Nah, I was going to let you guys tear it up before I took over.
Go for it.
All right. I respect that this is not a good song.
I don't.
However, in the thought process of like using it as a reference track for like a movie score or something, this made a playlist. I don't like this song. It is very unnerving and scary, but sometimes I need that. It is my bottom song. It is the worst song. It has actually no right to be on this album at all.
I feel like it's the definitive worst song.
Yeah. Very few times do we have these where there is one that is like the bottom song. But I can still respect what it is.
This one's just scary and bad.
I like scary music sometimes. The context of this album, it has no right to be here. But I am glad that I heard this song.
I also just hate Florida. I mean, to be fair.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think people in Florida hate Florida. That's why they are the way they are. Anywhere that people can throw alligators through the window of a Wendy's should just not exist.
You'd kind of go hard.
That clip is going to be great next Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I figured as much. I didn't have a lot to say about this track, so I literally wrote hate on Florida. All right.
That's so fucking funny.
On to track 12, which is I Miss the Girl.
6.
I give this one 8.5.
I give this one a 7.5.
I lost the plot again, boys. I don't know what it was about this track, but I couldn't listen to it. Well, it's not that I couldn't listen to it. It's that I couldn't really dissect it. It turns out to like just be all right again for me. I feel like everything going on in the background isn't too interesting, and obviously the bad vocals are still here. So
I also kind of lost the plot, but I think this song just went on a little too long, and that's really my only gripe with it. The like stretched, I couldn't figure out what it was. I wrote the stretched sounds at the end sound cool, but I could not place what even that is. So I was gonna say soundscape, but it didn't really sound like that. I don't even know. There were some weird noises, and I was liking it, but other than that, the song was just kind of here.
Yeah, so you should know why this got the score it got if you know me, because this had the killer drumming on it. Just it goes back and forth between almost like a halftime feel, and I guess it's like a regular time feel and a double time feel, the more drum and bass thing. And he's got a couple different snares going and is playing them both at different times, and it was just awesome. It was just awesome. So that siren is very, very close. That's why I stopped for a second. But just great drumming on the whole album.
Quick,
But
put Logan's mic out the window.
It's not even on.
Turn it on, put it out the window.
But yeah, the drumming was just really good on this track in particular. It's really good on the whole album. On this one, I was like, wow.
Well, the mix is also biased, so.
Yeah, I mean, the whole mix is very drum and bass forward. But it should be if it's kind of an electronic feeling album.
I could definitely see that.
Again, we talked about it earlier. Most of the stuff that Chad Blake does as a producer or a mixer, it tends to be very organic in the top end and very bottom heavy, and those are both things I like. It just typically he works with artists that I don't, so I've never had a chance to enjoy his mixes before. All right. With that weird little rant, on to track number 13. So far, I have not found the science.
I wrote the name of that track down very wrong. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, this one an 8 1/4.
Gave it a 6.
Ooh, wow.
Flipping the plot here.
Did I really write that wrong?
I really just
I did.
What did you write?
So far, I have found silence.
Oh, okay. It's not that far off.
It's still pretty far off. The groove. It came back, and it's awesome again. Now, there's a lot less going on that I feel is random in the background. There's still stuff going on in the background. There's still a lot going on, but it feels a lot less random to me. It feels a lot more intentional. The chorus, let's be honest, it ain't it again. But I do think overall that this song is really fun.
This was just another one with killer drumming on it. I think
Yeah.
these two tracks back to back just had phenomenal drum tracks. And I really enjoyed the synth sounds on this one.
To me, this song sounded like if you took A side and put it in a blender, the smoothie you get from that is this song. It's just a lot of what we've already heard, except it also has like TV static effects, which I did not care for.
Yeah, I know some of their other albums have like cartoon samples in them, but we didn't get any of that on this album.
Makes sense.
So the TV static kind of makes sense with their brand, I guess. All right. On to track 14, which I didn't know existed for a little while, which is The Incumbent.
7.5.
You this one a 6.
Gave it an 8.
Okay. They did me right. The vocalist, he comes in, he's boring as hell, and then they take him off for 5 minutes, and it's awesome. They just let the instruments go for 5 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, when you're doing that, that sounds great.
It just, the length is what got me. I really did like the tension and release going on with kind of the builds and the change ups. Just the length and the combination of that and some of the samples being a little grating, I think was what got this the 6.
This one kind of does everything that I want an electronic song to do. It goes on for longer than 1 minute 30 seconds. Shouldn't be a problem that I have all the time, but it is. There's a lot of like new ideas coming in that we haven't seen anywhere else really on this album, which I thought was a weird way to end it, but a cool way to end it. And it just, it sounds very different. And there was enough going on that I thought justified how long it went on.
Cool. I'm sure this is going to be a fight. This brings us on to pacing.
6.5 out of 10.
I gave it a 6.
I also gave it a 6. No fight.
I was about to say this ain't a fight at all. In fact, I'll drop mine down to a 6. I was being generous.
I just think it's too all over the place.
It really
Yeah.
is.
And even though there's nice fades, everything sounds good. But there's nothing that we get extra points for. There's no overarching story other than just everything's kind of sad with upbeat drums. And it's just everywhere. It just bounces back and forth. Even though it all sounds similar, it doesn't really, I don't know. It's a lot of soundscapes put together. That's the only way I can make it make sense.
I might give 2 points back if Pensacola was the last track. That one bombed. This,
Yeah, that just bombs
pacing.
everything.
It was a.
I think it would have gotten higher for me if the incumbent wasn't the last track too. Although
Yeah.
I get it being the long track where it is, but this is another one that since it tells no story and it doesn't really do anything. I think if we reshuffled this, it could probably get a couple points
Oh, yeah.
higher just with the energy.
Honestly, I'd like to see the incumbent as like an ironically placed interlude. Like you put
Right.
interlude on the longest track on the album and slap it in the middle because it brings in a bunch of ideas that don't really exist anywhere else on this album. So I guess your options were intro, interlude, outro. But yeah, I think if Pensacola's placement is tearing a hole through the pacing score, I
Really
think
just
everything else
puts
would probably be fine if we just took that off of the album.
It's also never good when all the singles are on the front of the album.
For real.
That's never a good sign. That, and whether or not the band picks them or the label picks them, because I think this was part of Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
I think their label, their indie label, was a division of Warner Brothers at this point. So I'm sure they had something to do with that. But whenever all the singles are kind of bunched together, it's usually not good.
I could definitely see that.
Spread out the singles, remove Pensacola, pick a
Just
different last
remove
track.
Pensacola.
It does not belong on this album at all.
I think
we're
the
going back.
incumbent could actually be a really cool. I think it could be a really cool first track.
It could be.
It introduces a lot of
Yeah.
crazy sounds.
If we saw those sounds later in the album, I
That's
would
kind
agree
of
with
where
you.
I was thinking. Like
Yeah.
if it was actually like a pullback tie-in thing, like what are they called? The other guys that do that. We've done their albums before.
Well, we've done a lot of albums that have the
Like the big
the-
ending tie-in.
the callback.
track.
You're probably thinking
Yeah.
of Mariana's Trench. Is
Mariana's
the famous
Trench.
one.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
So you weren't here for Somewhere City, so
Yeah.
But if it did something similar to that, I could see it working really well as an intro. But I think it does need to be reworked or retuned in some kind of way to fit other places.
I did think about halfway through that song. This is the anti-Mariana's Trench ending.
Yeah, instead of bringing in all the things that you've heard before, it brings in a bunch of random stuff.
You know, this is another one of those that I don't know that was made to be an album so much as just a collection of tracks.
I mean, considering they were used in like media and other cartoons, I could definitely see that
Yeah.
being the case. Like this feels less like an album and more like a compilation.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, again, it's just our format killing it. You know, if we pull a couple singles from this album and put them in one of our song rating things, I think they'd do better even than we scored them here. Because there's a lot of really cool stuff going on, but I don't know, it just...
You know what? When you get so much of it at one time, I think that's kind of where it loses its charm a little bit. Because even on the front end of this album, I was rating these songs higher because it still kind of had that unique charm to it. But after you've heard it for so long, after you've kind of been listening to it for a full hour, it definitely loses that.
I actually really liked my weird food analogy earlier because I always talk about music that's really complex as being like super spicy food. You have to like build a tolerance to it to listen to a lot of it in one period. This is just really weird food. And I think it would be weird to eat.
And it's not like bad food either.
No, it's not bad, but I think it would be weird to have a whole entree of all that stuff or a whole plate of all that stuff. I don't know.
It's kind of like frog legs for an entree instead of an appetizer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that it's bad by any means. I just think it could have used some more normal stuff to break it up, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, with the personnel in this band and the way they sound, I don't think it's possible. I think Circles is as close as you get to a normal song. But
Yeah, there were like 2 in the first 5 tracks that sound like songs, and then the rest of it is just cool electronics almost stuff.
I like how it feels like we just skipped album art overall and we've gone straight to overall.
we always do this. We
is
literally
true.
always. There's actually a lot to talk about on album art if we want to go there.
Well, I gave the album art an 8 out of 10.
We gave it a 9.
I also on camera. I also give it a 9.
It gets 8 points for the bear cat.
It's a bear monkey.
Bear monkey?
It's a
That
bear
does make
monkey.
sense. Yeah.
So that was drawn by Jim Woodring, who's an American cartoonist. He's known for doing an anthropomorphic character called Frank. And he basically does a lot of graphic novels. But I didn't know where I recognized his work from, but he actually has done a lot of covers for one of my favorite jazz artists, Bill Frisell. They work together a lot, so I think that's where I've seen it. But he's actually fairly famous in the comic and graphic novel world.
See, I feel like I've seen something of his. Probably not the same thing that you saw, but I can't place it either. So
that's Frank. That's his most
maybe seen
his
that
most famous.
before.
I'm looking at Bear Monkeys.
So that's Frank. If you want to see some of his other stuff.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. The yellows, I think all the colors are good on here. The drawing's good.
I didn't have to
I'm
knock
kinda-
at any points for not saying what it was.
That's true. I'm kind of locking in on the font now, and I don't know if that's as good, but if you're not looking at it like I just was, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think when I looked at this, I was more like, I can't think of anything wrong with this.
And also, could you blame me for thinking it's one of these?
No.
No, that's pretty close.
I feel like that's weirdly close. Apparently, its real name is a Binturong.
Okay, so I think you guys would know him from doing the comics that were based on the Aliens franchise for Dark Horse. You might have seen those.
That's cool.
Oh.
I do know of those.
Yeah, he did most of those.
I think I almost bought one of those today.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those, like, he's like an artist's artist kind of guy.
Mm.
So it was kind of interesting. He's done quite a few album arts. He did a Yo La Tengo one as well. I'm seeing that.
Which one?
Ooh, I just passed that. Sorry, I'm almost there. Where did it go? Fade.
Fade.
2013's Fade.
Interesting.
But yeah, this album art is definitely a banger.
We also did a short
Looks
for
great.
them called The Tree.
What?
He did a short for Yo La Tengo called The Tree. But yeah, just the album art's awesome. You know, I think that's what would have sold this as a CD. It's perfect for that format. It's all the right size.
True.
It's just enough color, just enough this, just enough that, and when you think of it as a CD packaging, it's really good.
Mm.
I don't know what a 10 album art is, honestly.
With 10s,
It's right behind
kinda,
Connor.
I guess that's fair.
I think I gave that one a 9.
I gave that one a 10. And it's also right over there. I
That one
also
might
gave that
actually.
one a
That
10.
one might be a 10. I don't know if I gave it a 10, but I think I would now.
It's really good.
That's pretty good.
Is the band name on it?
It's down there in the puddle.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
both there. In the
Right.
puddle.
They're the minnows and they're in the puddle. Come on,
That's
man.
right.
It's awesome.
The audience cannot see that one, but yeah, they can.
A little bit.
They can just go back into our back catalog now that they know it's Minnows. It's fine. Someone can look that up. All right, on to the thing we've been talking about, which is overall.
I think overall I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
I give it a 7.5.
I gave it an 8. I thought about giving it an 8.5.
So for me, I do have my gripes with the album, but they're very specific to me gripes. Like me specifically, I don't like this vocalist, and it just kind of falls flat on his face when you can't really like something like that. I think a lot of the drum beats are really cool. I think a lot of the instrumentation's really cool. The effects that we get all throughout are really interesting, and they paint a kind of cool soundscape. But just being a person who isn't super into soundscapes, and when the vocalist is doing something that you kind of have a pet peeve for the whole album, yeah, it kind of hurts your score a little bit.
Yeah, the only note I really wrote was that, again, it's a victim of our format. You know, I don't know that a whole album of this, or this whole album maybe, is the best way to get into Soul Coughing. And also that it's definitely one of those slow burn kind of things. I think this is one of those projects that it's so different that it takes a second or third or fourth listen to really appreciate a lot of the things that's going on. There's a lot of stuff like that. You know, that's me with Radiohead. That's a great example. I did not like Radiohead for a really long time just because I didn't freaking get it. And then, like, I don't know, my 10th listen to In Rainbows, I was like, okay, I get it. And that's become one of my favorite albums. I don't know if this will ever get to that, but it just seems like it's going to be a slow burn. And I liked some of the tracks enough that I will go back and listen to some of this stuff. You know, it's going to find its way into things. Because weirdly enough, I listen to a lot of artists adjacent to this, but I have never listen to Soul Coughing on purpose, so it's gonna make it into some of those playlists.
Yeah, for me, it's already made it into a couple playlists, a couple that probably shouldn't have, but I liked pretty much every piece of this album individually, and just hearing everything come together on one project was really cool. This one's definitely not leaving the Apple Music, like added music, so I'll be back. I liked it now, and I'm gonna like it again.
Let's go. He likes the bear monkey.
How often does that happen on this show?
Not a lot.
Yeah, we didn't even have to apologize this time. We were nice enough that there was no apologies. I think I looked up enough lore, talked about why the band was weird enough. Nothing was hidden behind a paywall.
Don't know the story behind that one.
You're missing a little bit of context, but
It's fine.
We'll talk about it after.
it's all right. They're not seeing it anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't make it nearly this far.
Yeah, we didn't make any fans from that video anyway.
If you made it this far, you are not a part of the joke that we're making.
Right. Yeah, correct. You're one of the diehards, and we thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that you're still here, bro. What are you doing?
No, we haven't announced
Like-
next week's album yet.
That's fair.
Well, they still haven't liked the video, so they need to like the video.
That is true. They do need to like the video.
You forgot, didn't you? Hit that bell, too.
Where's that button here? Do I hit a button?
See, Carl forgot.
Carl
You can
forgot.
definitely forget, too.
Pretty sure everybody forgot last week. I think there's like one like on last week's. All right, you ready to get into what we're listening to next week?
Yeah, what we listening to?
Well, next week we're listening to Wet Dream by Willie Rodriguez Was Taken. All one word. Crazy name.
That is a crazy artist name.
Album art is sick looking.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, next week.
It's kind of what we do here.
I'm into album art, but okay. I meant I was going to whip out my phone and look at the album art after this, but okay.
You meant the album.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to check that out. No, I know I have to listen to that. What are we doing? Turn these cameras off. Get me out of here.
We haven't done our like and subscribe, but we said it. I mean, if you
Yeah.
made it,
If you forgot to like right now, and if you aren't subscribed, subscribe.
yeah, and this is me liking you metaphorically through the camera. So, thanks, and have a good night, everybody.